Good morning, everybody. It's 10 o'clock, and I want to welcome everybody to our last board meeting of 2024. Can you imagine that? And want to wish everybody a good day. As is customary, we normally start this meeting with member comments. I'm not aware of anybody who has indicated his desire to speak before the meeting. Dwayne, yes, you can talk.
And still good morning. It's I'm Dwayne Vos, currently 223, and we'll be moving, but we're just moving up and over. You will see if you've looked at the agenda for today that there's a change request from Unit 423, and that should have said 223, to revision to Procedure AP 04 member share transfer. I was the one that submitted that request, and I've had some discussions recently with our president, and sort of came to the conclusion that perhaps there's some merit in part of what I was requesting, but it's, as we would say if we were in the bakery business, it's only half baked perhaps at this time. And so I choose to withdraw that request, and you can remove it from the agenda. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll call this meeting to order. This is the December 6th board meeting of Applewood Pointe Cooperative of Eagan. We will begin with roll call. I'm Tom Kopacek, the board president.
Jane Lawrence, vice president.
Tom Eagan, board secretary.
Steven
Sandy.
Smith, board treasurer.
Sandy Thompson, member at large. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
I saved your seat, Steve.
Yeah, I know. Keep
Yeah.
it warm for me.
And Steve would rather be where he is, I think, right now. So anyway, welcome, Steve, by Zoom. So I'll try and remember to just speak up if you need to get my attention or something.
You know me, never shy to say something.
Okay. Let the record show that the full board is in attendance. And we also have Jennifer Rutsky, our property manager, Jill Pink, our regional manager with Ebenezer, Kathy Milkey, our recording secretary, is here at the table as well. Okay, so there are a couple of changes to the agenda. One that Dwayne commented on, the withdrawal of that item, but also adding one additional item to our ratification list, which we just approved by consent through the board. Unanimous consent was approval of a unit betterment request for Unit 304. So can I have a motion just to accept this revised agenda?
So moved.
Second. In discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. There are no items that are on the consent agenda. I do want to review the items that were on the for ratification of the prior board consent actions. We approved the minutes of the November 1st board meeting. We approved a certificate title change for Unit 413, a unit betterment request for 413 to change lighting, unit betterment request for 326 to add grab bars in the bathroom, approved unit betterment request for Unit 121 to swap out a fan for a light, approved a unit betterment request for Unit 223 to add osmosis water system and a different bathtub in 322. We approved the addition of workers' compensation coverage to the cooperative's insurance package. Let me just comment on this. This was something that came out of the insurance presentation that was made a few weeks ago when the insurance agent was here. Workers' compensation coverage is something that I know that they recommended to us last year, and the board never acted on it at that point. It was not part of our original package. Our agents strongly recommended, and the reason being, even though we do not have employees, direct employees here at Applewood Pointe of Eagan, we do hire a lot of vendors, and they have employees. And although they provide proof of insurance and everything to Jennifer, we necessarily can't rely on that the insurance is still in force. Perhaps, maybe it may cancel somewhere along the line, and we won't know about that. And that worker, if they're trying to file their workers' comp claim, may be out of luck through their employer. And so they're going to go after somebody, and they may go after us as the one who brought in the vendors and so forth, or after Ebenezer. But at least we're covered from a workers' comp standpoint for those kinds of situations. It's a small premium. It's only about $500. So the board unanimously approved this, really without discussion, based on the presentation of the information, and we felt it was something that it was important for our cooperative to protect ourselves against, even though it might be remote. The other ratification items, we approved the management recommendation to replace 22 recirculating valves. A couple of them were leaking at the time. We approved actually authorized the replacement of all of them at a cost of $3,582. They've reached a 5-year point. And although some are working, we anticipate there probably will be more. There was actually we had one leaking over the weekend, and another one starting to leak. So we felt it was important just to move on that. We also approved, as I added to the agenda here earlier, approved a unit betterment request for Unit 304 to add osmosis drinking water system. Those are the items that the board approved outside of this meeting since the last meeting. Is there a motion that we ratify these prior board actions?
So moved.
It's been moved in a second that we ratify these prior board actions. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. We will move on to treasurer's report. Steve,
Hello, you can hear me okay?
we can hear you great.
All right. Just a clerical order here. First of all, the balance on the checking account should say October 31st and not August 31st. And then there's just a couple of things I had on the treasurer's report. There were a couple of concerns when we had the special board meeting concerning the taxes, that we would be dipping into reserves to pay that overage on the budget, and that's not true. So I put a blip in here under the ready cash to explain that the ready cash is where we will be going henceforth to pay for these things. And that is all a part of the operating budget and has nothing to do with reserves. I foresee that we will not be taking anything from reserves any longer that we can, that just comes up out of the blue. Those reserve accounts will be left alone now, as the way I have it set up. So, and then the reimbursements from reserves, that I know I reported on that last month, but I intend for that to be no more than a quarterly report, because we don't do anything with that just quarterly. So that's only going to show up quarterly going forward. After that, has anybody got any questions? Going once? No.
Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
that we accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of accepting the treasurer's report, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Okay, we'll move on to standing committee reports. First one is Finance Committee. Sue, any report? Okay, no report. Building Committee, Joe.
Mr. President, members of the board, members of the cooperative. The building committee would like to observe that the cable mess over there is in process of discussion. Jennifer is leading a task group of Rich Collado, Ron Grouse, and the most helpful non-member of the committee, Paul Bacigalupi, in trying to figure out a solution. Actually, we've got a pretty good idea of the solution. It's more on the order of figuring out who's going to do what and how much it's going to cost. And we also found out that these tape lights that don't work can be replaced at a lot lower cost, and they're accent lights, not security lights. So you don't have to have them on 24/7. I'd like to turn to the new business agenda where it reads item 2, building committee recommendation to repair and repaint great room walls. That's fine. Instead of installing corner guards as originally discussed is wholly in error. The building committee recommended installing corner guards in the great room, the lobby, and the library. And I believe Jennifer has those color chip recommendations. Interior design came through with them very nicely, very quickly. Interior design also recommended that we install unfinished flat wood railings painted to match the current color of the room in all the walls in the great room and the sunroom. And so the building committee discussed this. We discussed, as I noted in my report, chair rails painted versus stained wood, and repairing and repainting the walls. Our conclusions were 3. 1, we regarded the chair rails, no matter what kind, as unaesthetic, or to put it more simply, ugly. We thought that the cost of repairing and repainting wood painted, and you've got to go with good quality wood, by the way. And as soon as you start putting in wood putty or something, your paint's going to look a whole different. The cost of fixing that would be much higher than fixing the dings on the wall with a little spackle and primer and paint. And so, not seeing any reason to spend a lot of money on chair rails when they're not going to be any, as we didn't like them. And so we recommended, let's just go with repair and repaint as needed. And so there you are. Any questions? Jane?
Yeah, Joe, I have a question about the issue of all the cords. Is the solution under discussion involve in some way modifying the furniture, the cupboards
Yes.
here? Because I know that was brought up for discussion several years ago. I remember when someone near and dear to me was involved in the discussion, and there was a clear outcry that you can't go drilling in the cupboards, and we don't want anything to deface the way it is. And I just wonder if that's been considered.
We have. And in fact, what we are looking at is putting all the equipment that's in that box in the first set of cabinets and drawers with a new electric box to power it. And that means we have to have an electrician. Somebody's going to drill through the back of the cabinets. We don't know quite who that is yet, to a center point here where someone else, Jennifer already has a bid, will drill through the granite, and then we'll put a conduit up so that it's masked like that. And that way it'll get it all out of the way. And we could put a cover over the cables as they go along the bottom of the cabinets. It would be at the bottom and the back. so that it wouldn't be taking up very much space. We're not talking huge numbers of cables. This is Paul Boccialupi's we thought elegant solution. So,
And then that will come to the board for.
oh yes,
that's
oh
what I
yes.
figured.
Once
Okay.
once we have some
Numbers. Got
numbers,
it.
right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. The next committee is a grounds committee. Anything from the grounds? No report. There's no report from policies and procedures today. Replacement refurbishment. Guess there's no report from that one either. Social committee. Peg.
Well, this is a report in the form of fun things to do in December. If you've noticed the round table, there are at least 2 things to sign up for. One is Secret Santa, which is really fun, simple, not costly, and the people who've participated in the last few years really enjoy doing it. So I hope we get some of the new people to do that as well. And then we have Cookies and Carols sign up, which is you're signing up to bring cookies and you're signing up to help with the event. I think that there's a good number of people who've already signed up for cookies, but we can always use more. So take a look at that and figure out what you can do. We do have a New Year's Eve party planned, but it is not on New Year's Eve. So we probably should call it something else. It is the Sunday before New Year's Eve. It is the Packers versus the Vikings game. We will have, starting at noon, there'll be decorations. We're going to have pizza, which will cost $10 a person. People are going to bring salads and other things to enjoy as well. If you want to bring your wine, whatever your Tom and Jerry, whatever you drink, please feel free to do that. The last thing is that we are really looking for ideas for other things to do per month. We've got this list that we've had for a good number of years. It's kind of the same, but we went through what we've done in the past and listed all those in the memo that Jennifer sent out. But if you have other ideas, you need to let me know that in some fashion by putting it in my cubby or calling me or whatever, because we will consider all ideas, and then we will also ask you how much help you want to give to those ideas, because there's just a number of people on the committee and we can't do everything. So keep that in mind. I think that, potluck is tonight. First floor is responsible for setup and cleanup, and you all are bringing food. And I know for sure there is a gingerbread bundt cake, and there is going to be bread pudding with rum sauce. So if nothing else, eat at home and come for dessert.
I just have one quick thing about the email that went out asking for ideas. If you can email Peg and Carol those ideas, people have been emailing me them and then I forward them to them, and which is fine. But you can take the middleman out here and just directly email Peg or Carol, or talk to them in person too. Thank you.
Thank you, Peg. Marketing committee reported there's no report. And interior design committee, nothing more to add from what's already been talked about this morning. So thank you, standing committees. We move on to management report. Jennifer.
Good morning. Okay, so management report, financials are in good standings. I will be putting the reserve request in for the end of the year. My number went up. It's now around 12,000 that I'll be putting in for, plus the replacement of the valves that they're doing currently right now. So I will get you, Steve, a updated number on that. once that invoice comes in. Trying to wait until I hoping that's the last thing that would be included in that and get that in before the end of the year. Waitlist update, I have one more to add on. So we have 99 people on the wait list. One of those people will be coming out once they move into 107, so we'll be back down to 98, but we did add 3 and then removed 2. Closed on 413 on November 11th, so Janet Reynolds is currently moved into 413. And we are currently painting 322 as we speak and getting that one ready for Dwayne and Vaddis from 223, who will close on the 16th of this month. And then 107, Paul and Rose will be closing on 223 on the 10th of January. And then we will have a new member, Joanne Anderson, with an E, Joanne. So another way to spell Joanne and another way to spell Anderson. She will be closing on the 15th, the week after Paul and Rose go into 223. And she's going to be a great addition to our to the membership. Let's see here. The lobby, great room, and the elevator lobbies, they were supposed to be clean last week, but they had to push it up to this week. So we are trying to speed up the process of the area outside of my office, that when we clean it, it bubbles up. I will be bringing that to the building committee if we want to look into getting a bid to see how we can repair that, so every time we clean the carpet we don't have to lay the tables down to prevent it from bubbling up and being a tripping hazard. I talked to the cleaning company yesterday. There's a way they could possibly do it that's not as aggressive to clean and not as much water. It's more of a steam clean, but it won't clean it as well. And that's a high traffic area. So that's something that to look into with the building committee. 7 appliances needed repair, 2 dishwashers replaced, 1 fridge replaced, and then just this week, another microwave will be being replaced. And let's see. So for personnel, I had on there that I'm going to be off on the 25th for the holiday, but I'm most likely going to take the 24th off as well. And then for the New Year's, I'll be off the 30th through the 1st. So that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll be off that following week. Art and Janet will be off on the 25th and the 1st. As some of you have known, and I will be sending out more information on this, that Janet and Art were presented with the Barb Denninger Care Bear Award on Tuesday. And there was a really nice article that was put into the Stepping Stones, which is the Ebenezer newsletter. And so I will be sharing that with everyone in the bulletin, the Friday bulletin today. Just really honored and proud to work with Janet and Art. They're just such a fantastic group. They take care of each other and do a really great job. So I was really happy to be able to give them that Care Bear Award. And it was fun to make them too. Art has a little toolbox with a little hammer in his hand, and Janet had a whole bunch of little vacuum and brooms and all of this on her bear. So that was fun. Committee items, attended regular committee meetings and did the monthly tours. And then attended the marketing think tank at Ebenezer corporate office with Mickey Callis, who joined for that too, and was able to share the recording of that with the rest of the marketing committee that wasn't able to come. So it's always good information and good things that we can take from the training that Ebenezer provides. Any questions?
Jill, do you have anything to say?
Nothing of real substance, but good morning. I just want to say that it's been a really great year working with the board and with Jennifer and with the members here. I've gotten to know some of you and just really enjoy coming here. It's a great place and wish you all happy holidays and keep warm. It's going to warm up this weekend. So thank you.
Thank you, Jill. And Jennifer? Okay, hearing no other, we'll move on to some quick updates on some unfinished business, things that are sort of open items. The HOA insurance advocacy project is something that I've been talking about the last couple of months, and it stems from the HOA leadership network that some of the board members and other some committee chairs have been attending as well. So we have some new information that we're intending to, or probably within the next 10 days or 2 weeks, to get out to the members now about asking you to be an advocate for to the legislators that we have here in our county and so forth. With the legislature starting up in January or probably early February, I think the timing is good, but we want to be an advocate for some consideration to what is happening with insurance premiums, particularly with HOAs across the state. There are a lot of HOA members, and we're considered in that group as well as a cooperative. And with our high percentage increase, though, it seems to make sense. So what we're going to be doing is just giving you just a quick letter that explains what we're trying to do. There'll probably be, I think, maybe a petition, Sandy, that we've talked about, that maybe everybody could sign, and then also give you a sample letter that you can send to through email or something like that, or a voicemail language that you might call their office and give it to them and just say that you're concerned about the high cost of insurance in our HOA, and we've had a increase last year of 58% or something like that. Just let them be on record that people are concerned about big increases like that, and it's going to affect a lot of people if those increases keep going up. So it's just something that, again, it's nothing. It's voluntary, of course. We want you to participate with it, and I think it's something simple that you can. Well, it won't take long for you to do.
Mr. President, has any consideration been given to inviting our state senator and our state rep here for a 45-minute meet and greet and let people share the information? Knowing both of them, I think if we ask them soon, before things get really going at the legislature, they might be willing to do that. It's probably more effective than any kind of letters and emails go to their aides. So if you really want to talk to them, I would invite them.
I think that's a good thought. I think the other thing that we've heard from an advocacy standpoint is that if an office gets 50 voicemails or 50 emails coming in or 75 or something like that, it's often that becomes more effective because there's 150 plus constituents here living here, and then that is a big number. And so sometimes numbers of contacts speaks to them too. So, but I think that's a good point. We should probably consider doing that. Sandy?
I'll add a little bit to that. I've spoken with some people about starting a new group here that would bring in political people to speak. So what you're suggesting fits perfectly with what's going on. Our first speaker, just so everybody knows, will be Tom Eagan, and he'll be talking about the city and county. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next item I had in there was changes to standing committees, and Jane kind of reminded me that I think that that's probably been taken care of. But
Yeah, there really were no substantive changes to any of the charters. That's what we've been talking about. They've been sort of reformatted, and I'll make sure they get posted as soon as possible. And I think we're looking towards next year as having more discussions with the committees if there are questions that the board might have about the charter. And again, I don't anticipate that's going to be a big deal, but we don't want to go without looking at them. So.
right, so the changes that were made had just been formatting changes and to more to provide more uniformity.
And every once in a while, the English teacher in me comes out and I correct something, but basically, yes, it's forms.
And then the last item is the update on our club or activities fair.
And I've looked at January 23rd. It's a Thursday afternoon. It seems like Thursday afternoons are one of the best times. I thought about the third Thursday, but that I believe is bingo Thursday. So we're going to go with the 23rd, which is the fourth Thursday in January, and more information after the first of the year. I like 1:30 to 3:30.
Any questions? Before we move on to new business, I would like to get a motion. The financial statements for October they weren't discussed here, but we have received them. They're on the website, and I might add that from an operating expense standpoint, we're still running about 5% under budget through October. But I'd like a motion to approve or accept the Ebenezer finance reports for October.
I'll make that motion.
Moved in second to accept the October financial statements as prepared by Ebenezer. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. We move on to new business items. The first item is the review of the non-member occupancy agreements, and there are actually two of them. Last month we saw a draft of that, and we asked PNP. We essentially gave our blessing to moving forward with this, but we wanted it needed to be formatted properly to fit us and so forth. PNP has done that. Sandy, I think you're going to update us a little bit on where we are with this now.
Okay, so PNP, in their usual thorough approach to things, did create two non-member occupancy agreements. One for if somebody is living here and you have a guest. The other is if you're gone and you have somebody living here. So there's when you're here and then when you're not. The conditions are pretty much the same. The difference is the length of time. So if the member is here and the guest is staying more than 31 days, if you're under a month, no need for this. But if it's more than 31 days, then you're looking at one of these agreements. And you can stay, if the member is absent for any reason and you're there as a guest, you can stay up to 181 days before you have to sign the non-member occupancy agreement for when the person is absent. I hope I'm making sense here. Okay, so here are a couple of features. First of all, guests are not limited to the family member. Could be friend, could be healthcare provider, could be some other kind of person. They need criminal background checks. They need to be signed by the member, the guest, and the board president. They have to abide by our governing documents, and continued staying here is contingent on the member's continued consent for that. That was a point of discussion that someone had an experience where they had difficulty getting rid of a guest. So, okay, and the agreement terminates when the membership terminates. They agree to peaceably and immediately remove themselves. They get access to common areas, but they don't get to book rooms or book the great room or guest rooms. Let me see. Is there anything else? No, I think that pretty much summarizes it. Again, they're the same except for the time. The first one is starting 31 days and going to 181 days. If you go beyond 181 days, then you have to do the second. So, am I making sense? Are we ready to?
You have a motion?
Okay, I move that the board approve P&P's version of the non-member occupancy agreement for members, for guests with members present. I think I'll do it in 2 motions.
I think the titles might be on the top of the reports too. Maybe might be appropriate
It
for,
would be if I had it, yes. Thanks. Okay, I move that the board approve the non-member occupancy agreement with the member present. Joint occupancy.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved a second that we approve the P&P recommendation for non-member occupancy agreement for joint occupancy. Discussion?
Mr. President, I have a question. In my experience with background checks is that you have to pay for them, and that before you can run a background check on a person, you have to have their consent. And so is that reflected in that? Who will pay for the background check? And how will you get the consent of the person? And what if somebody's guest refuses to consent to the background check?
May I make a
Jill, go
comment?
ahead. Yeah.
I would suggest that you have an attorney review this. I'm not sure about home health people. I don't know if you can restrict that at all, because it is independent living and people are able to remain here as long as they can coordinate that help. But I would suggest that, there's so many restrictions from HUD and federal law. So that's all I have to say.
Could I pipe in here a minute?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I kind of agree with what Jill says. I do want to see an attorney look at this before I think I could okay it. The one thing that concerns me are the words joint occupancy. It just seems to me that's giving a person a foothold into the co-op. But I'm sure hope I'm completely wrong. But I tend to go along with what Jill's saying. We should, if we're going to okay these things, they should be reviewed by an attorney.
Mr. President, I think I was clear when we first brought it up that I think in many ways this is all overkill, that I would definitely agree to having some sort of as a form that both the member and the guest sign. Definitely would support that. The need for an attorney to look at it is probably clear. I would share Steve's questions about labeling it as an occupancy agreement in any kind of way that could give a person perceived standing moving forward about what happened. I signed this agreement as a co-occupant, those kinds of things. So again, I understand the need for having something written where we have people's name and address, driver's license, phone number, car license plate number. If the board agrees this is the best way to go, I think there are still some inherent questions. And if we want to do the attorneys, get a recommendation from attorney first, maybe we need to do that.
Other discussion?
I am willing to withdraw the motion and say, let's send these 2 things to an attorney.
Okay, who seconded this motion?
I think I did
Yeah.
the first one,
Yeah.
and if Sandy is withdrawing her motion and replacing it with this, I'll second her latest motion.
So the motion then, Sandy, is
To send both non-member occupancy agreements to an attorney for review.
okay. And are you seconding that motion, Tom? Okay. Motion's made and second that we send both of these non-occupancy agreement drafts to attorney for review. Discussion.
One more comment. I'm not sure I understand why the cooperative would allow someone to live here for 6 months when the member's not here. Just a comment. I'll be curious what the attorney might say, because this isn't a Airbnb. It's not a house exchange situation. And I think in order to have dedicated members who participate and are truly a part of the community is maybe a good way to look at it. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in response, Jill, to your comment, the only way in my mind that I see that happening is if someone's going to be in a warmer climate during the winter and they ask a family member. And so to me, there's a lot of things that make more sense if we identify it, this is a family member rather than, oh, I'm going to pay somebody so much per month to live here for me while I'm gone. We may want to look at that. That's why I think crafting, as after we send it to the attorney, we may want to consider, do we want to craft this in a way that's less of this format and include some of those other things? Because I don't think it would say in the occupancy agreement that this is for a family member under this kind of situation. The other question I had is, is there any anything here that would address the fact if, say, a member had a grandchild or a child living with them who was under 18? So a situation where a family member has a member has a grandchild who's 16, who for whatever reason needs to live with their grandparents for a limited amount of time. Do we want to, is this addressed in here? Would there be a way to,
It is.
okay, for a minor child?
Yes.
Okay.
Further discussion on the motion to send to an attorney for comment and review? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. The next item of business is the grounds committee request. There's actually 2 of them. One is if you recall, in the budget is for this year, the expense of budget or brush removal for $350. The bid came in, or sort of the rebid by Quality Cutters, and looking at it again, came in at $480, which is about a 37% increase, and that's why this is on the agenda. The second item, and then I'll have Ron come up and just make comments about it, is the bid from Quality Cutters for essentially extending the mowing area on the north end of the property, and it's on kind of a once a month cut. But I've divided this into 2 separate requests. Ron, would you come up and explain what the committee's reasoning is here?
I will comment on the brush pile removal first, because it's kind of simple and straightforward. That was in the budget last year, was shot down. So we didn't take any brush out last year, just stayed over winter. We have since accumulated the dead branches that fall down and into that pile, and the pile is getting quite large. And we had it in the budget coming in this year. We did not have a quote. We just now in the last probably week got the quote from Quality Cutters and what's going to cost to get that done. And we think it's important to get it done. It looks bad to start with. It does not reflect favorably on the co-op. So that would be my comments on that. Do you want to just go ahead with that part first, or you want me to go into the second part?
Go ahead and speak to the other one.
Okay. The other, we've been discussing last summer, and we actually started doing part of it by hand. And that is, if you recall, last summer we had one of the really great crop of goldenrod, outstanding crop. Only problem wasn't a crop we wanted. So there's grass was established here in the areas that was not considered the wildflower area when this thing was built. There were mats up in that area, kind of where those above the putting green and back toward the north path before you hit the tree line. And part of that we've been working on by hand for some time. And we kept the goldenrod down. The grass has come back quite nice. And what we think and believe would happen if we mowed additional areas there is that grass then would have an ability to come up faster and and basically subdue the goldenrod and other weeds that are trying to get through. If you come through once a month with the cutter bar at about 8 to 10 inches high and just whack them off. They can never go to seed, they can't blossom, and it allows the sunlight to hit the grass. The grass then can come up through, which it is doing in that area as you proceed up toward the path where we've been working on this for some time. This is a test, and we're talking about probably about 3 months of doing this. It'd be the prime growing months of June, July, and August, and maybe September, but that would be it. And then we'd analyze this, and if it works, we might want to go a little bit farther with it. And we wouldn't have to do it forever because at some point that grass will have taken over and will be more active and have more growth opportunities than the goldenrod. So if anyone has any questions, we have to try to answer them right now.
Okay, thank you, Ron. So I'd like to break these into the two items. So the first one is the brush removal. To remove it this year would be a cost of $480. So it's just slightly over budget, but the pile is larger, as Ron explained, and that's part of the reason why that's why the cost is higher as well.
I move that the board approve the expenditure of $480 to remove the brush pile.
I'll second that.
Then moved to second that we approve the request to remove the brush pile at a cost of $480. Discussion.
All right. I don't know, just off the top of your head, Jennifer, what does that yard waste bin cost us?
Yeah, that's not off the top of my head. I'd have to look that up. I do not know.
Okay, well, I don't know. What I see here, it just amounts to double paying to have stuff removed. Why is that not stuff then bagged up and put out with the waste bin? We pay for that. What, once a week they pick that up? Or is it one? Yeah, it's once a week. They pick that up all summer long. And what doesn't fit there, throw it in the darn ravine out there. There's no reason to have any brush piles.
Mr. President, I know this issue has come up multiple times about the brush pile. That's sort of part of the legacy, I guess, of the grounds committee. And I'm thinking about it, if it's sticks and stuff that are in the landscaped areas, the public facing areas after a storm or in the spring, I'm assuming Quality Cutters does that. They take care of those kinds of sticks and things like that, small debris from storms or whatever. But the brush pile we're talking about is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is most of it is from brush that was taken from the wooded area, which is the buffer between us and the park. And I know that members have voluntarily cleared parts of that wooded area and made it a brush pile that was accumulated. We've had it removed. Well, I think once by the cooperative. We will do it again by the cooperative. I think members have done some stuff on a voluntary basis doing it. And I guess to me, a long range solution is just maybe don't clear brush out of the wooded area and not to create any more brush piles if indeed it's not in the public facing landscaped areas. But, I think we need to take care of this now, whether or not it should be or growing all the time, how it gets there, how it cannot get there. We just need to have those discussions, I think, with the grounds committee.
I support this motion to clear this brush pile. I think we should just get rid of it. And I also have some concerns about creating more brush. There are people within the building, and I know that I think there's two different thoughts. One is to have a wooded area as more. Yeah. All right. I was talking about the couple of trains of thought regarding this, and one is there are people that like having a wooded area. They like having a manicured lawn area, which we have here at Applewood. We have the beautiful grounds, but when it comes to wooded areas, some people like to see that as more natural and wooded. So the question is, why would you clear all the brush out of there? And sometimes there might be buckthorn or something like that. I understand that, but generally, if there's a down branch, is it necessary to move it? I kind of question that personally. But so I'm just pointing out. I think that we need to think about that going forward. And the grounds committee, I hope, will look at is: do we really need to remove everything out of there that when it's fallen or something like that? And I understand it might be different. If there's a tree fallen that maybe is in pathways and stuff like that, I understand that. But having said all that, I support the motion to remove the brush pile. My hope is that there be discussion about not creating very much brush going forward, or finding other ways of maybe dealing with that somehow. Is there any other discussion on this? If not, we'll proceed to vote on the motion to remove the brush pile at the $480 bid. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Same sign. Motion approved. Now, the second item is what Ron was talking about, was cutting doing kind of a rough cut on a monthly basis, maybe 3-4 times next year, specifically what they're talking about to deal with goldenrod and stuff like that, and maybe hopefully get grass growing more in there as well. So the cost on that per time, according to the bid, was $90. So it'd be like an additional $90 to do that cut once a month. We don't have it specifically in the budget right now, but this would be something that the cost would just come in a little bit more on a monthly basis for that. So is there a motion to approve this? It essentially is extending a rough cut area, mowing area, not a regular mowing area, as the agenda kind of suggested there.
Two questions. First of all, I think Ron indicated it would be for either 3 or 4 months that we would do this.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing, if we rough cut this area, eventually it would become part of the mowed naturally or regularly mowed area.
Not necessarily.
No,
I don't think that's the intent.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Good. I'm glad I am.
Yeah, it's not to intend to just make it a mowed manicured area. I don't think it's just. Yeah.
From what Ron said, it's my understanding now is that it's basically an attempt to deal with the goldenrod issue more than anything else, because then that would hopefully make the goldenrod less likely to grow and the grass more likely to grow. So That wasn't clear
And
to
it
me
might be
before
tall
today.
grasses.
Tall grasses,
Yeah.
okay.
Sandy?
I have another question. Do we know if Paul's or any other professional person has weighed in on this issue? I mean, if we're asking Paul's to do it, did they tell us this is a good idea or?
Quality Cutters, you mean,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Paul's. Paul is the man
Whoever.
at Quality Cutters, but
Okay, somebody.
yeah.
But
Jennifer?
can I break in here a moment? We're
Yeah,
having a discussion without the motion. I move that we spend $90 a month throughout the growing season next year to have that area rough cut.
I'll second.
so move in a second that we spend the $90 a month to have that area rough cut next year. Discussion.
If the idea is to get rid of the goldenrod, that's fine. There is the fact that goldenrod is a very important food source for pollinators. But that be as it may, if what I don't know, there's really nothing in the long range plan that covers any of this. What do they really want to do out there? What does the co-op, the 96, really want to do out there? I mean, that's something. That's an issue that we've been kind of dancing around here for a couple of years now, and I think we need to delve into that. But for now, it does look nicer without the goldenrod. I will say that. Let's get the rough cut done. It seems that this is sort of a more natural way they want things to look. But I think we really need to delve into what do the 96 want going on out there.
May I comment? on
There's a motion and a second, and we're having discussion. Yes, go ahead, Jennifer.
So just to comment on my discussion with Paul, the owner of Quality Cutters, he did say, to do that rough cut properly, he wouldn't do it in April because there wouldn't be a whole lot to do, but he would do it in May and would need to do it once a month throughout the growing season. Because if he did it this month and then skipped a couple months and it grew, or then it's harder to do. So it would need to be the once a month for the growing season. So probably 5 to 6 more likely to be successful was what my understanding is. But in talking to him, I don't think he agreed that doing that would achieve what you're wanting to do. So he doesn't necessarily like, oh, I recommend you do this, but he says, yeah, if that's what your goal is, this is the way to do it.
And then what we want to do is deal with the goldenrod issue. Does goldenrod start blooming in May? I don't know anything about its growing season. Is it up in May and a problem in May?
It also gets to be the amount of what's to mow, and to do a rough cut. You need to do that once a month, is what it's saying.
Okay, so the motion is basically that we're agreeing to spend $90 a month for, did you specify 5 months? I don't think so, did you see?
I said during the growing season.
During the growing season.
Whatever Quality Cutters thinks is, and the grounds committee thinks is best for it. But my motion was during the growing season.
He did specifically say too that, if this is what you want, that he didn't want them to come out and say, oh, don't do it this month, skip this month. And it would be he would want it to be a set once a month, because then if you skip a month, then it gets too high, then it's harder to mow, and that becomes an issue. So he did mention that.
Okay, so the motion is that we're going to do this rough cut during the growing season. $90 per time is the cost of that. And is there further discussion?
Could we just add the word monthly? $90 a month. Did we say?
I think that was part of the original motion, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Okay, thank you, Grounds Committee, for bringing those forward. The next item, then, we're going to move to the Building Committee recommendation. And Joe spoke to that in his comments earlier. And I believe sort of the way it was worded on the agenda was incorrect. There's no question about that. It is, and I think really what it should say is Building Committee recommendation to repair and repaint damaged spots in the great room and install corner guards in the great room, lobby, and library. I believe is the way the Building Committee is presenting this. So, is there a motion to open this up?
Mr. President, I was at the meeting where this was discussed, and it was discussed thoroughly by all the guys, but Mickey wasn't there, and she'd like to weigh in on this. So and it's not something that has to be done tomorrow. So rather than approving it at this meeting, I'd like to suggest we send it back to the committee so Mickey can weigh in. And it may not change at all, but at least give her a chance to say what she wants to say. So send it back to committee is my motion.
Well, okay. I guess a couple of things going through my mind. I'm thinking, did the committee review this, in the proper standing? I assume that the committee members knew when the committee meeting would be, and I'm assuming that there was a quorum of the committee, so the committee is able to take action on that. So I guess I'll ask the chair the nature of that meeting. So
The agenda was circulated in advance. All the members were able to attend except Mickey. Dick Fletcher came in on Zoom. Mickey had to take her mother to a medical appointment and found out she would not be able to attend by Zoom. And so she was not there. So we did have a regularly scheduled meeting with the agenda out. Does that answer your questions?
yes, it does. Thank you. Jane.
If there was a solid, if the majority of the committee members were in favor of this, even though not diverging opinions were not able to be expressed. I'm getting the sense that Mickey had she doesn't necessarily approve of this, or is it just that she felt she did? I mean, we can't all be at every meeting. Sometimes life happens. But if the committee was, was confident in their decision, it was a solid majority, even if one dissenting opinion was expressed, I'm not sure it would change the ultimate decision. So I don't know. I guess I'm being wishy-washy.
Okay. So it was a 5-0 vote of the Building Committee in attendance at that meeting to approve this. Was there a motion made on this? No, there wasn't.
I'll move to accept the recommendation of the Building Committee to install the corner guards and to repair.
Well, can I read you?
Yeah, that'd be better.
What might be the motion that approve the Building Committee recommendation to repair and repaint damaged spots in the great room and install corner guards in the great room, lobby, and library.
That's exactly what I would move.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and second to do that. Discussion.
Yeah, as my discussion, I would like to allow Mickey to weigh in on this issue. Can I do that? Why is
Well, you can vote against this motion.
Well, no, I think as part of the discussion, I'd like to hear from Mickey, see what her reasoning was. I mean, she mentioned it in the committee meetings. She wasn't able to attend the committee meeting, but you know, like I said, I was at that meeting, and personally, I'm not so sure we need chair rails, but let her have her piece. Let her say what she wants.
Sandy?
There's only one female on the building committee. That's part of my reason for suggesting.
Okay, so I guess my feeling on this, I respect everybody's opinion. I think everybody should give their opinion, but there's a process that we have set up to do that. And I don't see where anything was violated in that process.
No, I'm not saying there was, Tom.
No. Yeah, I'm just saying that, I mean, I'm having a hard time saying let's not approve this, let's just send it back. The committee's already voted unanimously to do that with the members that were in attendance at that meeting. So that's where I'm coming from. But
Mr. President, I'm concerned about setting a precedent so that any time a person was unable to attend a committee meeting and something went through to the board, we would say, well, so-and-so wasn't able to attend the meeting, so let's send it back to the committee. We do not want to set precedents like that. And I understand, as Sandy stated, that Mickey is the only woman representing on the committee, and it's unfortunate that she was not able to attend. It wouldn't have changed the outcome from everything that I can see. But mostly we can't set these kind of precedents.
other discussion?
I might also add that Mickey knew that this was going to be on the agenda today, even though she wasn't able to attend the committee meeting. I think she could have submitted, if she had wanted to, a minority report with her own opinion on this, which we could have considered at this time. I certainly think I agree that this would be bad precedent if we were to, on each and every occasion when someone was not able to attend the meeting, that they could delay the process just simply because of the fact they weren't able to be there. She certainly could have submitted her feelings in a minority report manner, and we could have considered it today instead of a delay. A delay is a different
Right.
matter.
I think there are numerous options we have here for a member to weigh in on something, and it could have been just speaking before the meeting as a member comment or something like that about an item on the agenda. So I agree. I am concerned about the precedent.
Well, Mr. President, if I might, I think I was misunderstood. I thought Mickey was there. She is not in the great room.
No.
Oh, I thought I heard from somebody that she wanted to speak. But anyway, no. I am not in favor of delaying this at all. But I just kind of wanted to give her the chance to say something if she wanted to.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead, Jane. You have something.
And Steve, the thing is, if she had wanted to say something, it would have been appropriate for it to be a member comment prior to the meeting. We don't want to get into the habit of having members contribute continually to discussion at board meetings. So it's unfortunate she wasn't here at the beginning of the meeting because, yes, I would have enjoyed hearing what she had to say.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and vote on this. And the motion is to accept the building committee recommendation to repair and repaint damaged spots in the great room walls and install corner guards in the great room lobby and library. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. The last piece of new business that we have is an engagement letter that we receive annually from Mahoney CPAs. They're the ones who do our audit, our year-end audit. And for them to begin work on the December 31, 2024, we need to approve that engagement letter. I think it was in the board packet. It's like 12 pages of really, really interesting reading. And But it's boilerplate language. It does have the cost of $8,500 in there, which is what we approved as part of a 3-year proposal. And so they do the financial statements, and they do the tax preparation of the tax returns for 2024. So is there a motion to approve that engagement letter?
Mr. President, I would move that, but I would also want to state clearly up front, I did not read every single page of that letter. So if that disqualifies me from making the motion, I'll withdraw it. But I move we accept the engagement letter with Mahoney.
And moved and seconded that we accept this engagement letter. For the record, I did read it. So I didn't necessarily know if anybody else would read it, but I read it rather quickly.
I skimmed it.
Yeah. So is there any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Same sign. Motion approved. So I will sign that engagement letter, and then they will begin to work with Ebenezer County and Jennifer to begin collecting reports for year end. Good old year end time, right? Audit time. Is there any other business that the board has at this point before I move on to my president's report? I just want to, just a couple of things under my comments. That we do have a couple of new standing committee members. So on the R&R committee, I want to thank DJ Robinson. He's stepping down from that committee, and we've appointed a new committee member, John Bills. So John is very interested in that committee. He'll be joining the R&R committee. So, and on the finance committee, this has been maybe a month or so ago, John Belter stepped down from that committee, and that left an opening on that. From the finance committee, we thank John for his service too. And the new committee member is Skip Bloom. So those committees are now filled again in terms of the numbers that are specified in the charter. I wish them well and thank John Bill, Skip Bloom for accepting these positions, and thank DJ and John Belter for their service on the committees. The upcoming board meetings are Friday, January 3rd, and Friday, February 7th. And the complete list of the dates of 2025 meetings is on the website. It's in the workroom. I think it's in the mail room as well. So this kind of serves as our, in a way, like an official notice of the schedule of the board meeting, so that everybody knows when they are. Of course, we do send out a letter notifying the members the week of it as well. So before we go to member comments, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second? Motion made and second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion approved. The meeting is adjourned officially. If we open the mic up at this point for any member comments on any subjects. Stephen Vetter.
I have a question. I thought there was someplace in our documents that said you cannot sublet your unit. Is that true? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
The answer that Ken provided was you can sublet if the board approves.
Can't hear, Clyde.
He's not talking yet.
Originally, I discussed with myself about talking about the occupancy agreement before. I like the way the board handled it. What Jane mentioned were overkill. And to me, there was a lot of legal issues, because when we signed up here, we were told that hey, the family members and so forth. So a lot of the things on there I thought was a very positive thing, but it made me squirmish. So I appreciate the avenue that you went.
Anyone else? Okay, I wish everybody a good day. Thanks for coming.